With the holiday seasons comes decorations, gifts, and plenty of food, and it is important to make sure that your furry friends are safe during all of this excitement and that they aren't getting into things that they shouldn't. All About Animals Pet Clinic is sponsoring today's segment, and joining me with more information is Dr. Joella Koss. Welcome back. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.
All right, so I know we have a lot to cover today because there are so many important things that we need to know when it comes to pet safety, starting with all of the new foods around, what should we be making sure that our pets are not getting into?
Absolutely. So the biggest thing is, as we're doing a lot of cooking, there's many things around the kitchen that they should not be eating. And we may want to be giving table scraps and things like that, but things that we really have to be conscientious about, everyday things, grapes, raisins, things like macadamia nuts, alcohol, obviously. Chocolate is a huge one that a lot of people already know about. So we've got some semi-sweet chocolate here. The one important thing to know is the darker the chocolate gets, the worse it is for the pet.
For the animals.
Absolutely. Things you may or may not think about, like gum in grandma's purse.
Right.
It contains xylitol, which is actually very toxic to pets. One piece is enough to throw them into liver failure, so it is very dangerous.
Oh, wow.
And then speaking about grandma's purse, a lot of people don't think about, you're having relatives over for the holiday, they hang their coats up, they set their purse down, they may have medications in their purse, so 5 minutes later after Fluffy's gotten into the purse eating grandma's blood pressure medication, it could be an emergency situation.
And so what do you do then if you have people over and you notice that dog or cat or rabbit or whatever the animal is behaving very differently than normal?
Absolutely. So if it is something strange, like they are acting neurologically inappropriate, they're dizzy or they're doing something like vomiting, not wanting to eat, having diarrhea, that would be a call to either poison control or the emergency clinic at that point in time for sure.
Okay, and speaking of vomiting, I know you sent us a really great graphic of a X-ray of an animal. So if we could take a look at that X-ray.
This one's fun. So this is a dog laying on its back, and this is it presented because it was vomiting, not wanting to eat right around Christmas time. And the next ray actually shows some highlighted areas there, if we pull that one up, of the suspicious, so we've got two areas there.
Suspicious items.
Yes. Any idea, Jaclyn, what that looks like?
Well, we chatted before, so now I know what it is, but I had no idea. I was looking at that, I was like, did it swallow a tooth? What did it swallow?
Yes, it is a light bulb, a little Christmas tree light bulb. And that is something that a dog had gotten into. And you can imagine, luckily this was a big dog, and so it passed it okay. But a small dog, that would be enough to perforate through the intestine. That would be emergency surgery.
So this light bulb literally can potentially...
it could be fatal.
It could be fatal.
Absolutely.
For an animal.
Yeah.
Which you don't even think about. And you know what's so interesting? We were decorating and I stepped on one of these and I was like, when did we get glass? And I was like, what just shattered? And I had stepped on one of these, didn't even know that we had dropped it. So
Most
I can only imagine a curious animal finding that.
And speaking about glass too, people with pets should consider the pet safe ornaments, which are more the plasticky kind. I know my dog thinks that the Christmas tree is just a decoration for him that has nothing but nonstop balls on it for him to play with, grabs them, but bites into them and doesn't actually shatter them. So we still don't want him eating them, but it is safer than smashing a glass ornament.
Right. And in the winter, I feel like the temperatures get so cold for us. I know I'm uncomfortable even in my winter coat and things like that, but what if you're taking animals out for a walk?
Most definitely.
What do you need to do to make sure they're warm?
So some of the bigger dogs, Arctic breeds, love it outside. You can't get them inside at all. But you think about, Shih Tzus, Maltese, little pups, they should not be out longer than usually 5 to 10 minutes depending on the temperature, and then doing things like this cute little...
This is adorable. I would love to see an animal cooperate in putting this on, because I know sometimes that's tricky.
Some booties, and then also thinking about when they're outside, we should be considering the pet safe ice melt.
And what is that? That's like
as opposed to the salt, exactly, because they come inside, they lick their paws after they've been out inside of it, and it can definitely cause some gastrointestinal upset. It can hurt their mouth. It can make them have vomiting, things like that.
Again, the things that you don't even think about, which is why I'm so glad that you're here sharing all of this with us. So what about travel-related hazards for your pets?
So there's a couple different things. One would be concern that your pet escapes. You're on the road, you're traveling with family, kids, there's a million million things going on. You make a stop and they get loose. What do you do? So the important thing is to try to be proactive. Make sure that they're microchipped. So we've got little Twinkle Toe Beans here with us today.
I love that we have an example. So this stuffed dog is microchipped.
She is microchipped.
Okay.
So God forbid your pet gets loose, somebody finds them, takes them to a veterinary clinic or a shelter. You can just push the button down there, hold it down,
okay,
and then scan right here, and it should right up there.
Right
there you go.
Oh.
Yep.
Oh,
and it
look
pops
at
up
that.
the little microchip number. So it's one thing to be aware of. It's not GPS.
Right.
They do make GPS collars. We recommend the Fi collar, but it is absolutely the only permanent method of identification because it's placed in between the shoulder blades under the skin. So that is one thing that we definitely recommend before travel with your pet.
Absolutely, because especially, as you mentioned, like in an unfamiliar environment, if that animal gets excited and jumps out of a car window or something like that, it's really hard to find them, especially when you're on the road moving on to the next place.
Most definitely.
And then, of course, we know that this is poisonous for us as well, but what are some of the other dangers?
Absolutely. So most people think of antifreeze as being toxic, but what they don't realize is how attractive it is to animals. So your pet gets in the garage. Antifreeze is very sweet tasting, so they are attracted to it. They really want to ingest it, and unfortunately it can absolutely be fatal. It is very difficult to treat once they get into it. So again, call to the emergency clinic most definitely. Some other things that we worry about them getting into: decorations, like we talked about on the tree. So you're wrapping presents, you've got ribbon, you're decorating the tree, you've got tinsel, you've got somebody gets new toys for Christmas.
Right.
And unfortunately, something like Nerf darts, they love to chew this little tip off the end and swallow it, and it is the perfect size to stick in their stomach and have to go to surgery to remove.
That's so unfortunate. And again, I'm so glad you're here because I never would have thought of half of these things. And I think the last thing I wanted to ask you about was, what about stress? Because I know that animals kind of sometimes will take on our stress. So if you're stressed or there's too many people or things like that in your animals, how do you know if your animal's too stressed out?
Absolutely. So it is, we're all anxious around the holidays, right? We've got people coming over, lots of things to do. So our pets feel that. They're also anxious. Even when it's people they know in the house, it's a lot going on. So we can see things like panting when they really shouldn't be hot, pacing, hiding, not wanting to eat. Things like that to be aware of. One thing that we recommend are these lick mats over here. So you can put things like yogurt, blueberries, peanut butter, bananas, freeze them, and then give these to them in a safe place, like maybe a crate, somewhere where there's a quiet place for them to be around. When pets lick, it releases endorphins. It's very soothing to them, so it actually helps take their stress levels down right away.
And then the last thing is you actually have an ebook, right, to sort of reiterate if you've forgotten any of these, and I think we have a graphic with a link, so if you are interested in refreshing on any of the things that Dr. Joella just told us about, you can visit that website that you see on your screen right now.
Tons of great information there.
Well, thank you so much for being here and for sponsoring our segment today. I really appreciate it.
Appreciate it. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.